जय भारत। वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स क्लिप्स बाय आदि अचिंत। जैसे ही आपने मेरे बड़े चैनल जो डेफ टॉक्स बाय आदि है उसको आपने जिस तरह से सपोर्ट करा, उसी तरह से ये हमारे क्लिप्स के चैनल को, जहां पर आपको छोटे छोटे अपडेट्स, छोटे छोटे शॉर्ट्स और छोटी छोटी कहानियां मिलेंगी, इसी को भी सपोर्ट जरूर कीजिएगा। लाइक का बटन जरूर दबाइए, सब्सक्राइब तो ऑब्वियसली करिए, बेल आइकॉन दबाना बिल्कुल मत भूलिएगा। एंड हाँ जी, प्लीज अपने दोस्तों के साथ, फैमिलीज के साथ ये वीडियोस जरूर शेयर करिएगा। एंजॉय करिए ये क्लिप को। जय हिंद। पुतिन ने काफी कुछ ऑब्वियसली बड़े बड़े चीजें करी हैं इन पास्ट सम टाइम के अंदर। देयर इज अ यूक्रेन वॉर व्हिच इज हैपनिंग, एंड ऑफ कोर्स ये जो पूरा सडनली फोकस पुतिन के ऊपर आया है इज कम आफ्टर द इंटरव्यू दैट ही डिड विद टकर कार्लसन। क्योंकि अमेरिका में तो टकर कार्लसन को तो ट्रेटर बोला गया है, यूरोप में भी उसको ट्रेटर वेटर बोल दिया है, क्योंकि वो सिर्फ पुतिन के साथ बैठ के बात करता है। सो पुतिन इज बिकम दैट टॉक्सिक। तो आइए जरा अरिंदम जी से पूछते हैं, भाई इतना टॉक्सिसिटी क्यों है पुतिन में यार? क्या हो गया? इतना क्या कर दिया पुतिन ने यार? बंदे तो सब मारते हैं, ये पुतिन के पीछे क्यों पड़े हैं? सो नमस्कार, वेलकम टू द शो, नाइस टू हैव यू बैक।
नमस्कार नमस्कार नमस्कार। पुतिन के पीछे पड़ गए ये लोग क्योंकि ये लोग जो सोचा था ना, दिस इज अ फनी स्टोरी एक्चुअली, एंड अ गुड स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट अबाउट वेयर दिस गाइज वेंट रॉन्ग इज, हैव यू हर्ड ऑफ दिस फेमस 1970s में निकला था, इट्स अ रॉक सॉन्ग called, it's a very famous, it's a legendary song by Eagles called Hotel California. Okay. ओके, सो होटल कैलिफोर्निया में वहां पे ना एक स्टैंजा में एक लाइन था कि मिरर्स ऑन द सीलिंग पिंक शैंपेन ऑन आइस, शी सेड वी आर ऑल जस्ट प्रिजनर्स हियर ऑफ आवर ओन डिवाइस। So West has become a prisoner of its own device, and a good point to start understanding why they are so frustrated and why they are so mad with this man is the image of Putin that they built. So that would be a good starting point, and I would want to start from there. So if we can have the slide, the PPT, then that will.
तो आप क्या ओके आप क्या बोल रहे हो? बेसिकली you dug a hole and fell in it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is what
you
is
dug
happening.
a hole and you fell in it. Yeah. So इसने ना वेस्ट ने फर्स्ट क्या किया? Well, the next slide please. वेस्ट ने फर्स्ट इसको डिसमिस किया. You know, Yeltsin के टाइम में there were plenty of prime ministers that had come in, and Yeltsin was a drunk and उसका कोई ठीक नहीं है, ये उसका KGB का चप्पू था, सेंट पीटर्सबर्ग में था, उसको पसंद करता था. So you know, there's just another one prime minister who had come in, and this guy was not impressive at all. He's still not very impressive, put it that way. Physically he's short, okay, he has that gunslinger wala gait, so he was completely dismissed as a small time KGB hustler and a kind of a guy who was enjoying his claim to fame. ठीक है, ये आया है, 2 दिन बाद फिर भाग जाएगा. जब Putin started to consolidate his grip little by little, then the Western media and propaganda machine began building an image of him. Okay, और जो picture यहाँ पे दिख रहा है, that is the summary of Putin's image. Like ना, the tribal guy, a pre-modern kind of a thug who hates homosexuals and mafia type muscle man, Hitler in outlook, blah blah blah. और तभी ये बेयर बॉडी, कभी घोड़े के पीछे कभी भालू के पीछे, ये सब चलना शुरू हो गया. And then they fell into the trap themselves. This they sort of this image of Putin they sort of created. They created to feed to their to their people. This was a media created image of Putin. Okay, so now the signs that West overlooked. Can we go to the next slide, please? The signs that West overlooked was ये जो alpha macho man, kind of a warlord kind of a image जो Putin को बनाया था. He was not impressive. He was not impressive. He was not a crowd pleaser. He didn't have a stage personality. He is not a charismatic speaker like a Barack Obama. There is nothing flashy about him like a Donald Trump. वो मतलब वो alpha वाला बात उसमें नहीं है. He did not appear the way the West was trying to build him. Now, normally that should have pointed a section of people to start thinking, boss, the kind of a alpha macho Putin that we have, the image that we have built, who is riding bare body on a horseback and all, and this guy, somehow they don't match. The thing is, nobody, कुछ तो गड़बड़ है. But the thing is, nobody questioned, and therein comes in the fun part of Western mainstream media. They kept selling this picture of Putin so much, this rugged, rowdy, brainless kind of a guy, जिसको कुछ नहीं पता है. They fell into that trap themselves, where they started believing in their own propaganda, and it never occurred to them that there could be something behind this man which we are missing. Okay, and so this kind of a image which they had built for their Ram Janta, then nobody questioned. Nobody in the leadership, nobody in the bureaucracy, nobody in the upper layers of where the running the state machinery is concerned, nobody questioned, and they started believing in that image.
Except Trump.
Can we move?
Except Trump.
ट्रम्प तो बहुत बाद में आया ना. ये पुतिन का किस्सा शुरू होता है 1998-99 में. तब पुतिन को, तब येल्सिन वाज अलाइव, तब पुतिन को ये लोग डिसमिस करने लग गए.
आई थिंक क्लिंटन
तो आया. हाँ, ट्रम्प तो आया बहुत बाद. ट्रम्प तो आया ये 2-4 साल पहले. So that is what they sort of built, and that is sort of stayed as a permanent image through the Western media, in the minds of the Western people, in the minds of the Western establishment, and to a large extent भी हम लोग भी अपने को अगर मतलब ऑनेस्टली पूछते हैं कि पुतिन का कौन सा इमेज आता है मतलब आंखों के सामने, दिमाग में, वो बेयर बॉडी वाला इमेज ही आएगा पुतिन का. It is very difficult for us also, if you've not studied the man, it is very difficult for us also to deconstruct that. Incidentally, I was supposed to sit with the book. मैं उसको कभी एक जाके लेके आऊंगा. I would want all the viewers to sort of read that book. It's a terrific book actually. It's about Putin. So I'll share that book a little while later. So can we move to the next slide? Now comes in the next slide में that पुतिन का क्या ये लोग सोचा था, पुतिन क्या निकला. पुतिन का फर्स्ट कंसोलिडेशन वाज इन चेचनिया 1999. I think he became the prime minister in September, and वो सितंबर एंड में ही चेचनिया को अटैक किया. उससे पहले 95 वॉर वाज अ डिजास्टर फॉर रशिया. रशिया वाज एब्सोल्युटली लो, मोरल खराब था, सब कुछ खराब था. दे डिडंट वांट टू, मतलब चेचनिया वाज एज गुड एज गॉन. दिस गाय व्हाट ही डिड वाज वो ना जरूरत से ज्यादा फायर पावर यूज किया. He literally flattened that whole thing. And there is a very interesting story which I read later on. There's an interesting thing. During the height of Roman Empire का जो the frontiers था ना, the distal part of Roman kingdom जो था, they were never heavily guarded when they were at their peak. इसका एक कहानी है. There was a small Jewish settlement somewhere in the hills, somewhere in Levant. ये आपको गूगल में मिल जाएगा. मेरे को डिटेल्स उतना मालूम नहीं, बहुत दिन पहले पढ़ा था इसको. ये लेवांत के कहीं हिल पे एक जूविश सेटलमेंट था जिसमें 400-500 जूविश रहते थे, एंड दे हैड देयर ओन सेटलमेंट, और फेयरली ऑटोनोमस था. रोमन किंगडम के अंडर में था, लेकिन वो उसका अपना चलता था. रोमन्स भी उसको ज्यादा मतलब डिस्टर्ब नहीं करते थे. नाउ लिटिल बाय लिटिल दिस पीपल स्टार्टेड गेटिंग बोल्डर एंड बोल्डर. They started challenging the local authority of the Roman leaders and so on and so forth. And then when one day when the Romans decided कि यार बहुत हो गया, enough is enough, अभी इसको attack करना है, they could easily have attacked these people with a few hundred soldiers. क्योंकि ये लोग के पास कुछ fortification, कुछ fort बनाना, they were not martial people, fight नहीं करता, they were small time thugs and all. And small times disruptors of local rules and local laws. Jews were never known to be big time fighters during those days. लेकिन इसने क्या किया? They took an entire bloody army या battalion, जो भी बोलते हो, I don't know, of a few thousand people, and they literally smashed that hill, killed each and everyone. This kind of passed a message so bad around the rest of the peripheries of Roman Empire कि उसके बाद से for a good next couple of centuries, Romans never needed to guard that way, guard their their distal lands, because when Roman kingdom का जब retribution होगा, वो इतना भयंकर होगा, इतना disproportionate होगा कि तुम मतलब कहानी खत्म हो जाएगा. Putin did that same thing against this Chechens. उसका एक रीजन था जो कि बाद में तुमको दिखे, वो स्लाइड में देखो, 2% to 53%. When Putin, before Chechnya, when he expressed his desire to run for presidency, his popularity was 2%. After Chechnya, when he ultimately ran for presidency and when he won the president, when he became the president, his popularity had reached 53%. Russians को ना, historically Russians like a strong leader. वो उसको कितना भी तुमको भी पता है, उसको कितना भी बर्बाद क्यों ना कर दे, लेकिन रशियन लोग, दे लव देयर लीडर्स टू बी स्ट्रांग, दे लव देयर लीडर्स टू बी डिसाइसिव, जो एक्शन ले. एंड पुतिन का ये एक मूव था विच वाज अ पॉलिटिकल मूव एज वेल. एक तरह से तो उसने ग्रोजनी व चेचनिया को खत्म किया, और एक साइड से उसने क्या किया, अपना पॉपुलैरिटी बिल्डअप कर लिया. सो दैट वाज वन बिग मूव ऑफ पुतिन. जी. देन नेक्स्ट आता है तुम्हारा, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, नाउ दिस इज अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग पार्ट, दिस Khodorkovsky का, when he taking down of the oligarch. Okay, and let me just give me a minute, let me just get the book. You people must see this book and read this book. 1 second.
Go ahead. Guys, actually जो ये बोल रहे हैं, I don't know if you guys remember the war of Grozny, बड़ा ही intense war थी. इन लोगों ने आके the Chechens had threatened the state, and as a matter of fact एक incident हुआ था जो लोगों को ज्यादा पता नहीं है. The Chechens had planted a dirty bomb in the जो metro station था मॉस्को का, ठीक है. That triggered off the war बहुत बुरी तरह से, and the kind of retribution that came, जो रशियन स्टेट ने डंडे मारे थे इनको जाके उसके बाद, दैट लिटरली आज चेचन्स तो बोलते हैं भाई रूसकी 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 रूसकी.
Yeah, they are friends
because
actually.
he went with a vengeance. I mean, he went after them with a vengeance because उसको पता था कि अगर ये नहीं तोड़ेगा तो रशिया भी नहीं बचेगा और ये भी नहीं बचेगा.
और ये मतलब आज चेचन है, कल ओसेटिया है, अब्खाजिया, दे वर सेवरल बॉर्डरलैंड झमेला जो इसका चल रहा था. सो उसने एक को मारा और इतना उसको जबरदस्त मारा कि पूरा शांत हो गया, वो रोमन किंगडम जैसे हो गया. Now this here is the point. If you want to understand, if you want to read in details this book by Marin Katusha called The Colder War, it's an amazing book. It came out sometimes during the 2000 first decade of 2000. तब वो यूक्रेन का झमेला शुरू हो रहा था. यहाँ पे ना डिटेल्स में, माइन्यूट डिटेल्स में, चेचन को कैसे, मतलब चेचनिया में जो सेकंड चेचन वॉर हुआ उसको कैसे इनिशिएट किया. There were a couple of false flags also, which is dealt in this book, and how he took down the oligarch. There was a point in time when वो चेल्सी का ओनर था ना, रोमन अब्रामोविच, that good looking Russian guy. रोमन अब्रामोविच और खादरकोव्स्की का बीच एक चल रहा था where यूकोस एंड सिबनेफ were trying to merge, और वो merge कर लेते तो वो रोसनेफ्ट से ज्यादा बड़ा हो जाता. Rosneft is the Russian government owned enterprise. Yeah. So initially, I'll tell you, initially what had started is this very interesting. येल्सिन ना, वो अमेरिका तब तो उसका वो लगा था कि हम लोग ओपन इकोनॉमी ओपन करेंगे, लिबरल बनाएंगे, ये बनाएंगे, वो बनाएंगे. तो किसी अमेरिकन कंसल्टेंट ने उसको आइडिया दिया था कि आप ना आम जनता के लिए, ये जो बड़ा बड़ा आपका जो स्टेट रन एंटरप्राइज है, गैस एंड ऑयल एंड यूरेनियम एंड दिस एंड दैट, ये इसको तो प्राइवेटाइज करना है, तो आप ये वाउचर फॉर स्टॉक नाम का एक इसने फंडा चालू किया था कि यू इश्यू वाउचर टू ऑल द आम जनतास.
You know who that person was?
The consultant. कौन? सोरोस.
आज जो बड़ा होलियर देन दाऊ बन के घूमता है, जेफरी सैक्स.
अच्छा. ओके.
आज जाके यूएन में बड़ी बड़ी बातें करता है about peace, tranquility and this and that and all that stuff. He was one of the biggest people responsible for the rape of Russia.
Okay, is he the guy that went on with this, that gave this idea of voucher for stocks?
He was part of the team.
He was part of that.
He used to sit right. He was the head economic advisor to Yeltsin.
Okay. So this, and you of course know how this voucher for stocks happened. मतलब उसका reality में क्या हुआ? सबको voucher मिला and they had no idea. आम जनता, so they sold their voucher and people like Khodorkovsky and all of these guys bought all of them and they became the oligarchs that Russia saw.
Yeah.
Overnight. The one good thing was initially na kya tha, Putin initially had no problems with that part. The thing is that privatization ho raha tha, and these industries were actually showing certain amount of growth, and he was okay with it. Problem shuru hua Khodorkovsky ke sath when he began his NGO and we started gaining political, because there was an unseen line which this guy had created. Ki, you remain in your side of the arena and you don't cross into the political side. And Khodorkovsky started crossing into the political side. Then he created his open society, जैसे क्या था उसका ओपन रशिया बोल के कुछ बनाया था जॉर्ज सोरोस के इन्फ्लुएंस में, जॉर्ज सोरोस के इन्फ्लुएंस में आके फिर उसने अपना एनजीओ को लाना शुरू किया वेस्ट से, अलग अलग एनजीओ. देन देन ही स्टार्टेड गेटिंग मोर एंड मोर पॉलिटिकल. देन ही वाज प्लेइंग दिस गेम विद अब्रामोविच कि यार ये यूकोस्को और सिब्रेट को करेक्ट करके, मतलब एक करके वी आर गोइंग टू. सो ये डिटेल्स में you can always read this book. This book is a very interesting book. It's a very catchy book, and you can finish it in a couple of sittings. So isko aap padh sakte ho. So where there is this details of how Putin tackled Khodorkovsky, and once this was done, then this entire oligarch wala thing started coming down. So through this oligarch thing, Putin ने और एक चीज और एक मैसेज पास किया रशियंस को कि आई एम अ पेट्रियट. I am not just somebody who is a strong leader, which was the first image which he had passed on to the Russian through the Chechnya war. And in his taking down of oligarchs and his gaining control of this big industries, he passed on this message to the Russian that, I am one of you, and I am bringing back the control of the crucial drivers of economy into fatherland or motherland, whatever you call that. So this sort of क्या बोलते हैं उसको, this sort of cemented this strong guy, strong personality, strong leader, and a patriot. The third thing that Putin did was an amazing act of economic recovery, जिसको लेके आपको Google में ज़्यादा नहीं मिलेंगे, because Google is hopelessly tilted towards the West. But yeah, if you are, if you're persistent enough, you can get a couple of research papers, you can get a couple of articles and all. I'll give you a very brief few points which I have written down over here, a couple of things which I just made note. एक तो है पहले post 1999 Russia was like वो जब when Soviet Union crumbled, actually it was like from the pages of Charles Dickens, poverty, and you can't even begin to imagine how poor they had become. There was inflation going out of the window. There was mafia lawlessness. There was this oligarchs who were coming in. Then there was Western interference, and things were so bad that armed Russians, they wanted to go back to the old colonial communism era. कि at least यार security था. Okay. तो इसने क्या किया? Putin, once he took control of the industries, he created his own network. और इसमें उसको हेल्प मिला उसका अपना सेंट पीटर्सबर्ग बॉयज से, सेचकिन एंड वो क्या नाम है उसका अभी जो पात्रुशेव, Dmitry Medvedev. Then Prigozhin was also one of his inner circle. All of these guys form a kind of a group जिसको popularly बोलते हैं St. Petersburg boys. They're all from St. Petersburg. They all started growing together. So he created a network of people that took the economic recovery very seriously. And Putin, Yeltsin के बाद तो Putin ही आता है. Then Putin probably envisioned the emergence of Russia as an energy superpower. कि भाई मेरे पास oil है, मेरे पास gas है, मेरे पास uranium है. And along with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, if I create that CES जो बनाया था, that is one reason why the Western powers want to snatch Kazakhstan away. One of the main reasons why they want to snatch Kazakhstan away from the control of Russia is because Kazakhstan is also a uranium super, uska super deposit hai uranium ka. So if I were to keep Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan in my under me as a part of my zone of influence, I have oil, I have gas, I have uranium, they also have uranium. So I can have not just control over the entire gamut of energy production, but I can also think about building energy infrastructure in the future. remember last podcast maybe we were talking about Russia taking interest in Lebanon because of the Levant basin wala gas. Initially, Russia had approached Israel and it was working very well with them. Then finally, I think some Western company, as usual, they came and they started meddling around, and फिर
British
Russia had
gas.
to British gas आया था. I think there was somebody from the US also, some company from the US also who came
Because
in.
British gas got the contract for both the Gaza and this one.
Yeah. So they had to British gas तो अभी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मिला बट इससे पहले वाला जो घोटाला शुरू किया था आई थिंक सम कंसल्टेंट अगेन फ्रॉम द वेस्ट फ्रॉम यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स दे केम एंड दे स्टार्टेड messing around in their affair which made Russia move out. So what Russia did was Russia took over, started building relationship. Took over नहीं बोलेंगे, started building relationship with Lebanon, with Cyprus, and with Egypt. Now Russia has got a decent amount of relationship rapport going with these people, so it is not overtly bothered about Israel going back into the hands of the West, which was probably an inevitability. It was anyway supposed to happen. So anyway, so these guys took the economic recovery of Russia very seriously. एंड आज के दिन में तुम देखोगे तो यूनाइटेड अरब एमिरेट्स, चाइना और रशिया में सबसे ज्यादा गवर्नमेंट कंट्रोल्ड इंडस्ट्रीज है. और जो मैं स्टैटिस्टिक्स तुमको बताने वाला था, मैं लेके आया आज. In Russia was supposed to be a drug-riddled country. Now, in the last, I think this is 2021 data, you have 7,316 drug-related death in Russia, compared to 49,000 in China, compared to 1,12,000 in USA. In 2000, okay, and there is a reason why I'm sharing this. In 2000, there were 39 suicide in Russia per 1 लाख आदमी. 2021 में वो कम होके हो गया 10.7, from 39 to 10.7 in a span of 20 years. यूएसए में वो चल रहा है अभी 14.4. यूएसए में मेंटल डिसऑर्डर, देयर आर 5% ऑफ एक्सट्रीम मेंटल डिसऑर्डर, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, मतलब पागल जैसे है 5% ऑफ यूएस पॉपुलेशन. 20% इज अंडर क्लिनिकल, परमानेंट क्लिनिकल डिप्रेशन. रशिया में ओनली 8%. द मार्कर्स आर अमेजिंग. USA is the most obese, one of the most obese nation, 42% obese. आज मैंने एक ट्विटर पे ट्वीट डाला है, like 77%, and this Pentagon has come out and said कि 77% Americans are unfit for the army. They are fat, or they are pagal, undergoing some medication, or they are criminal, or something else. मतलब 77% of American population is unfit to join the army. Russia में there is 30% of people unfit, obesity. चाइना, इंडिया का भी मैंने लिख लिया है एंथो में. चाइना इज ओनली 6.5, इंडिया स्टैंड्स एट 5.5. So we are got
fitter than China.
Yeah, we've got a good proportion of fit people. Why I'm saying this is that economic recovery तो program is one thing. इसका रशिया का pension restructuring and economic restructuring are two miracles, and I would advise people who are interested to study them, to find out what this man has put into the entire country to build this country. Why I'm saying this is that there would be a lot of Western analysts that would throw GDP figures at you. GDP is fine, but in different forms of international competition, if your manpower is lacking in intelligence, if your manpower is lacking in mental health, in physical health, in their state of optimism, in their faith in leadership, then your country is not going to produce anything of value, which is what has happened in the case of United States today. Hence this suicides and depression and fat people and fit people and all of this data, the statistics and all percentage, they come into they play a major role. Post Ukraine you've seen Biden's popularity go down. Post Ukraine you've seen Putin's popularity go up. एक ही तो लड़ाई है, चल रहा है. So this is about the about the economic recovery which he had done. As far as the re-arrival of Russia into the scene is concerned, this he did through Georgia. Okay, when the world was reeling from the financial meltdown. Yeah, he went, he thrashed them. I think it was a 6 or a 7 or a 10 days war, and सब कुछ कर के उसने आ गया.
जय हिंद. जाने से पहले मैं 1 मिनट के लिए आपको रोक लूं, तो प्लीज ये चैनल को लाइक जरूर करिएगा, सब्सक्राइब करिएगा, और हाँ, हमारे जो मेन चैनल को जरूर जरूर अपनी फॉलोशिप दीजिए, ताकि हम आपको अच्छे अच्छे पॉडकास्ट, इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट्स एंड जियोपॉलिटिकल अपडेट से आपके सामने प्रेजेंट करते रहें इसी तरह से. थैंक यू सो मच. जय हिंद, जय भारत.